Welcome to special stage for the Terrafirma All-Wheel Drive Club Championship. Here we are in Walters Arena in South Wales. Stay tuned for all the action from round one of this exciting championship.
So with the sun shining and plenty of dust in the air to make conditions tricky, it would be Dan and Kim Evans who would open up the early lead in that Milner R5. A great start to the event for the pair. No stranger to a good result on these types of events, it will be second place over the morning's runs for Steve Hyatt. For Andy and Shannon DiGiulio, the dust was slowing progress somewhat. Catching a car in the first run drops them time, but they make it up over the next runs to take third place at this stage in the event. Round 1 event sponsors Chris and Jonathan Bird were certainly on the pace in fourth, the first time out for this brand new Milner R5, and it was looking good so far. Keith and Sally Lewis, another crew being caught out by the dust, but they still managed to set some good times to lie in 5th place for the moment. It wouldn't be the best of starts for 2011 champions Chris Hammond and Amanda Garrett-Lee as they finished the first half of the day in 6th overall. Alex Holford, meanwhile, lies in 7th place, a couple of top 10 fastest times helping him hold on to what was looking like a great position. Some winter modifications for Rob and Dave Scone, and they seem to be paying off here at the first round. They lie in 8th place after the morning's runs. Howard Leet finishing the morning in 9th place. While Martin James and Mark Williams round out the top 10. Unfortunately for Rick and Sandra Mann, it will be an early exit from the event. They crash out on the first run, a disappointing start to their season.
Rick, it's not a good start of the year for you. What's happened?
A bit of a bad one. We pushed too hard on one part of the course and took the wrong line, jumped off quite a steep bank and landed in a hole, and we bent the car and nearly bent myself. So yeah, not a good start. I think we've got about 4th quickest time, so that's racing. Have to straighten it out and back out for Cambridge.
A roundup then of the afternoon runs, and holding on in the top 10 at the end of the event was Jason Nichol, getting to grips with the new Terrafirma shocks on the car this season. Bob Parsons ends the event in 9th place. With Mark Potts taking his TVR-powered car into 8th after the 8 runs. A climb up a few places for Martin James and Mark Williams sees them finish in 7th overall. Howard Leet also moving up the order to finish in 6th position. While Rob and Dave Scone continue with no problems to take 5th overall on the leaderboard. The afternoon though wouldn't go quite to plan for Chris and Jonathan Bird, the bonnet pins snapping on run 5, resulting in a broken screen and a pretty scary moment, but they do manage to end the event in 4th overall. Overcoming the dust issues earlier in the day meant that it was still an impressive 3rd place finish for Andy and Shannon DiGiulio, just a few seconds off that 2nd position up ahead.
So Andy, you made it to the final podium pace this evening. How's it been?
Excellent, surprise, 3rd overall, so yeah, no, really pleased. Like I said, well, happy anywhere in the top 10, top 5 we was aiming for, and top 3, so yeah, no, can't grumble at all. really good.
So what about the next event now? It's your local event and also you're sponsoring it.
Yeah, I'm sponsoring that round. The Champion of Champions. That's going to be, well, looking to be a cracking event. Yeah, roll on. I mean, we're all really looking forward to it.
A few places gained over the afternoon means that Keith and Sally Lewis stake their claim on the runner-up spot, themselves only a handful of seconds off the top of the podium. Some very close racing here this weekend.
Yes, it's been very good. Yeah, tough going, mate. Oh, very tough going. Dust. Oh. But yeah, we've had 2 years off, so it's the first event in 2 years, so very rusty. But yeah, 9 seconds off first. I suppose they'll say I haven't lost my touch, but very good, very pleased.
So is this a new car you've got here?
It's new to me, to the old Lamborghini, but I've had this in 3 years. I've done sort of a bit of a season 3 years ago to get the hang of it, and 2 years off, so here we are. So it is technically a new car, yeah.
It will be a well-deserved win at the opening round for Steve Hyatt. A great way to kickstart the season and some good points to take to round 2.
Congratulations, Steve. You won the event by 9 seconds. How's it been for you?
Yeah, it's been good. I only decided to come last Sunday, so it's been a bit of a ordeal getting the car together. My girlfriend and children have been very accommodating, if a bit grumpy at times, so yeah, it's nice to actually come and get a pot for doing it.
We found out as well you had some problems in the last stage.
Yes, last stage it overheated because a button had come out. So we got out of the car, walked round, and then got back in and realised the button was out, and away we went again. So we thought we'd thrown it away, but fortunately not.
Well, congratulations and well done.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So here's a recap of the results from round 1 of the 2012 Terrafirma All-Wheel Drive Club Championship.
That's all from round 1 of the championship here in Walters Arena. Join us after the break where we head to Cambridge for round 2 of this championship.
Welcome back to special stage for round 2 of the Terrafirma All-Wheel Drive Club Championship. Now, in contrast to the opening round, we've had weather warnings around Cambridge this weekend, which is going to make the 7-mile terrain over the military base a lot more challenging for the drivers. There's going to be a lot of standing water there, and there will be poor visibility. So will Stephen Hyatt be able to repeat his victory from the opening round? Let's find out.
Following the disappointment at the season opener last time out, it will be a much better start for Rick and Sandra Mann, opening up a good lead over the first of the day's runs. With the car not ready in time for round 1, this will be the first chance to get some points on the board for Dan Lofthouse in the brutal-looking Freelander. And after showing what the car was capable of last season, this weekend would be about trying a few new things and getting a little more out of the package. Second overall on the first run of the day was a good way to start proceedings. For Steve Hyatt, winner at round 1, it would all be going to plan here too so far. Not quite the lead he enjoyed at the first round, but third overall after the first run was a good way to open up the campaign here at the second round. Event sponsor Andy DiGiulio was one of the many competitors expecting or hoping for sunshine here this weekend, so the first run would be all about settling in and finding that pace. Fourth position suggested he was doing just that on his home event. After some good results on selected events in 2011, Richard Kershaw was back out once again in the Milner R5. Fifth overall after run 1, and with only a handful of seconds separating the entire top 10, the fight was on. A good result on round 1 was enough to tempt Keith and Sally Lewis back out to see if they could add a few more points to their championship campaign. And 6th overall was a reasonable start to the event for the pair. The plan? to push on the rest of the day's runs. After not competing for some time now, Tim Dilworth and Anthony Brinkman would be a couple of well-known names back out to do battle here at round 2. For the return, they've wheeled out the old car, this time with a few changes, but it seemed a little cautious to start with, 7th overall after run 1. Not quite the pace we saw at round 1 for Dan and Kim Evans as they settle into an early 8th place. Ian Roberts, meanwhile, finishes the first stage in 9th place. Still less than a minute separating the top 10 at this stage. And rounding out that top 10 at the end of the first run of the day is the Milner R5 of Chris Bird.
It's evident that conditions are definitely tricky out there, Rick, but you're leading, so in a positive position.
Yeah, it's been 2 good laps so far. It's slippery, same for everybody though. I'm just worried it's going to cut out and turn into a bog out there, and it's just a matter of getting the speed through the bog, keeping the speed where you can around the corners. But it's off-roading. You don't have to run on forest tracks to drive off-road. This is proper off-roading.
You've had no other issues though so far today?
No, I mean we're only running a 3-litre engine, so we're giving away a lot of horsepower and a lot of capacity, but we've got a very light car. It's well set up, and it's suiting it today.
So you've made a few changes to the car for this round, Dan, and it was a good opening run for you.
Yeah, it was good. We've got some more power this year, and we've got some changes which should give us a bit more grip, which at the moment are working quite well in these conditions. We've just been out on the second run. Unfortunately, we've had 2 right-hand punches. We think we dropped a bit of time, but hopefully not much. I did try not to lift off, but it's quite difficult when you've only pretty much got two full wheels and you're sliding around like someone that slides a lot.
Is there any particular place on the route that's causing the punctures? Because we seem to be seeing a lot of the drivers coming out with punctures.
Yeah, there's a section where we go onto a series of tarmac parts, and it's just dug out before, and there's a concrete step, and I think that's where I've got them. So next time a bit of caution through there, and hopefully we'll come back with 4 inflated tyres.
We'd see a few changes over the next few runs, including the conditions, the course getting muddier and now pretty tricky. But there would be no change to the lead of the event, with Rick and Sandra Mann making up for their round 1 non-finish by holding that lead into the final few runs. For round 1 winner Steve Hyatt this weekend was getting better by the run too, moving up 1 more place into second now and chasing down the leaders. Getting used to being back in the car a little more with each run now meant to climb up the results too for Tim Dilworth and Anthony Brinkman. They climb up a few places from 7th into 3rd now. No change though for Andy DiGiulio and Paul Jones as they remain in that 4th position that they took on run 1. A puncture on the second run of the day not helping them though advance up the leaderboard at this stage. For Keith Lewis, it would be 1 place gained over runs 2 and 3, closing in on the event sponsor Di Giulio as the event moves into its final runs. Over the next few runs of the course, we would see the Milner of Steve Lloyd move into the top 10. A good jump up as well, into 6th place to be exact, showing some real pace now. Improvement too for Chris Bird over these runs, moving up from 10th into 7th. Another driver getting used to the new car as the season goes on. For Richard Kershaw, however, the news wouldn't be quite as good. He drops a few places now to lie in 8th with just 2 runs remaining. And for Dan Evans, the pace wouldn't improve either, only losing 1 place, but that means a drop down into 9th. Ian Roberts is still holding on inside the top 10, but he drops down now from 9th into 10th position. And it's a slip down the results for Dan Lofthouse and Johnny Kunja, losing the wipers in one of the runs and unable to see where they were going. A struggle enough for those with working wipers here this weekend. They drop out of the top 10 at this stage of the event.
Andy, this is going to be an important event for you. Not only is it your local event, but of course being involved as a sponsor as well.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, we sponsor this every year. Obviously, shame about the weather this year, but it's a good entry. We've billed it the Champion of Champions, and it's quite exciting at the moment. Yeah, it's all hotting up.
Well, the weather hasn't kept the crowds away. I mean, you do have a fantastic entry here this weekend, and you're going to have a battle on your hands. Yeah, we are. Yeah, we lost some time on that run. Picked up a puncher. It's getting pretty sticky out there in the fields. But it's the same for everybody. I mean, we lost some time to Keith Lewis. Dan picked up 2 punches and still took time out of it, so they're all pushing hard. Conditions are difficult. Will you be able to make it home in one piece? Hope so. I mean, it's the battle of the fittest, isn't it? I mean, it's that's what it's all about. It's still endurance. Although you've got to be quick, you've got to get it home. The conditions are only worsening here around the military base. Rick Mann has the lead at the moment, but the previous round's winner, Stephen Hyatt, is hot on his tail. Will Rick be able to stay up front? See you after the break. Mike, for Terrafirma, it's a new association for the All-Wheel Drive Club. Fantastic to be involved in this championship.
Yeah, absolutely. It's something we've actually taken on board quite quickly. We were only approached earlier in the year itself, so we've had to try and get ourselves in a bit of a hurry. But actually, it's something that I think is going to work out, and actually, I can see some long-term involvement from Terrafirma as far as this and perhaps other championships go. Everyone is well aware of the importance of a sponsor. I'm sure they're delighted as well to have you on board. Yeah, I think so. But again, it's one of those things where it's a bit new to us as well. So we're going to have to feel exactly how it's going to... All we want to be is a nice, relevant sponsor. That's the problem. We don't want to be seen as somebody who's just coming and putting corporate signs up everywhere. We want to be relevant, which is why we want to try and get to know the drivers and actually have representation at these things. Yeah, you've had a taste of the event today. So what did you think of the mud bath out there? Yeah, I have to say, not quite what I was expecting, particularly all the stories about this time last year being basking in glorious sunshine. But I have to say it's been an experience and epic. Some of the things that these guys have been able to do, the numbers that have gone out today, and the fact that they've, I think, now gone out for their fifth run. I mean, considering the weather and everything else, it's been fantastic racing.
It was great, very entertaining, and hopefully we might see it at some of the events during the year.
Yeah. Well, it would be nice for us to be able to send representation to each one. That's what I really hope we can do. And as I say, bring Terrafirma and any other associated brands that all makes 4x4 do along and actually have representation for each one.
With the final few runs ahead of the crews, it will be a fight just to finish with the worsening conditions. Before we take a look at the overall results, let's look at the class roundup. In Class 8, it would be second place for Greg Clement and Tom Aubrey, but that wasn't without its problems. This course taking its toll on the cars and the pair getting stuck a couple of times on the later runs. This onboard footage showing just how difficult this course had turned out to be in the wet. So with the problems up ahead in the class, it will be a Class 8 victory for Howard Leet, taking away some good points from round 2. In Class 7, Richard Canterbury takes second place. While it's a class win for Martin Cox and Paul Carson. Back out in the old Tornado this season until last season's GSR is ready to hit the stages again. A trouble-free day for the pair to take those all-important class points. On to Class 4 now, and it will be second place for Richard Copsey. With Matt Sager coming out on top after 5 runs over this tricky course. Class 3 would see second place going to Dan Redman, the two-wheel drive cars struggling with the conditions more than most this weekend. But coping a little better with the conditions and taking the class win was Lee Salt. A good run sees him end the day on top in Class 3. Cameron Jones ends the event second in the battle for Class 2 honours. But with an almost problem-free run, Simon Cooper and daughter Danielle take the win. Just a small brake problem on the final run, but not enough to alter the Class 2 landscape. Moving on to the final overall results now, and just making a final push to join the top 10 at the end of this event is Alex Holford, taking up that 10th place and second in class. For Ian Roberts, it's a last-minute jump back up into 9th, the position he started the day in on the first run. Unfortunately for Chris Bird, after showing some good pace all weekend, it's a move down one place in these final few miles of the competition to take 8th. That 8th place vacated by Richard Kershaw on his final run. A stranded car obstructing the course and causing the Milner driver to lose control, putting a bitterly disappointing end to Kershaw's event. For this man Dan Lofthouse, meanwhile, it would be a move back up the results after a problematic weekend to take 7th. Not the result he would have hoped for going into this weekend, but perhaps the best he could expect given the day's problems.
Visibility was very tough today. Tough enough without losing control of your wipers.
Yeah, they packed up about halfway around. Zero visibility. We carried on as long as we could to the point where I couldn't see nothing and it was dangerous. So we had to stop, get out, clean the window. When we got round, we dropped a minute.
And it was that drama followed by another drama in the next lap with the puncture?
Yeah, another puncture, and with the ground cutting up so much, you need all your tyres you can have, and we just lost so much grip, you dropped so much time with the puncher, so we're unfortunately well down the leaderboard, but we've got to the end and finished. We're quite happy where the car's performed. Apart from a few punches and a wiper issue, would have been very close to the top boys, we think, so all good.
No change for Steve Lloyd then in these final runs as he holds on to his 6th place to take the finish and the Class 7i win too. Steve Hyatt would also struggle to hang on over the last few runs, dropping down the leaderboard into 5th place, but that's still good enough to secure 2nd in class. By no means on a par with the win from round 1, but a good result all the same. Just missing out on a podium place with the 4th that they'd held all day were Andy DiGiulio and Paul Jones, just a few seconds separating them from 3rd place at the end of the 5 runs.
Andy, it may have been unfortunate to lose out on that podium place by just 1 second, but fantastic to finish. I mean, those conditions were so difficult today.
Yeah, tough, yeah. I mean, it's nice the race stopped now, but it's been a hard day. Yeah, I've enjoyed it though. But yeah, 1 second apparently, I've just been told. We're fourth by 1 second. I can't believe it. That mistake in the bomb hole when we got stuck, that's all it was. But yeah, there you go.
But you had used the latter half of the day to climb up that leaderboard.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's right, yeah. So we just plug away, don't you, and keep going, and sometimes wait for other people to have problems. I mean, it's a tough sport, so that's what happened in the end, and we've ended up fourth, so no, I can't grumble really.
Overall, a really successful event for the organisers.
Yeah, like I said before, shame about the weather, because it is a bit more glamorous when the sun's out, but that's the only thing we haven't got any control over. Thanks for Terrafirma for all their sponsorship, and yeah, looking forward to the next round now.
But taking that third place and adding this finish to the good result from round 1 are Keith and Sally Lewis, moving up to take that place in the final miles of the event with a late charge.
Well, you managed to beat the event sponsor Andy to that podium position of third, so you've got to be happy with that.
Yeah, it's good, very good, I think. Yeah, it couldn't be better.
There could have been so many places on that track where you got that second.
Well, I don't know, it was just luck of the draw really, because it was so boggy, and if you got out of line you just lost, so you had to drive sensible and just keep the momentum going. So it was difficult, but probably the luck was on our side again.
Enjoyable run?
Yes and no, 50-50, because once we got to know where we was going, it was okay, but it was just getting too cut up to be happy, comfortable. So I was glad when I said it's 5 laps, that'll do me.
And another move up the results for Tim Dilworth and Anthony Brinkman sees them step up to take the runner-up spot this weekend. A good result for the car on its return to competition this season.
Tim, today was your first chance to test the new machine. How did it go for you?
It went very well. It was testing conditions though, wasn't it? There was serious amounts of water out there and we were struggling with washers and wipers a bit, but no, it was overall not a bad event really, not too bad.
We couldn't see into the machine, so what was the visibility like from inside the car?
There was, a lot of it was done by braille. So when you, luckily some of the real rough bits that you went through with the big puddles, they were train tracks, so you're running in ruts, so it wasn't too bad from that respect. But when you got big dollops of mud on the screen, it was a bit tricky to get it cleared.
A myriad of problems would keep Rick and Sandra Mann on their toes for the final run of the day, not least a complete loss of power steering. But all that wasn't enough to take away that win, the pair taking top honours here at round 2. A great result to make up for their non-finish at the season opener.
Rick, this has got to be a very satisfying win after your non-finish at the opening round in South Wales.
Yeah, I was a little bit worried after that first run, but I think we put the demons to rest here, so we were a little bit lucky though. The last run we lost the electric power steering and also had a drive shaft go, so we actually finished in 3-wheel drive and without any steering, so it was a little bit too close to the win, but yeah, good event. Shame it's quite so muddy, but that's racing.
It didn't take you too much time to build up your confidence after the off in the last round?
No, I think once you think about it, if you think about it too hard, then you won't do it. So, but we've got the right safety equipment. The car's built to the right specifications. And it's a good, strong car. So there's a good team all round looking after the car. So yeah.
So let's remind ourselves of the results at the end of an event where you can't help thinking it shouldn't have been this gruelling. Here's how things stack up at the end of round 2 of the 2012 All-Wheel Drive Club Championship.
Rick certainly is one satisfied man, leaving with victory here today after his non-finish at the opening round in South Wales. The next round of the championship is in a few weeks' time, and the drivers have plenty of time to make any amendments or preparation that they need to do with the cars before then. But for now, we'll leave you with some highlights from this dirty weekend. Well, it's pretty evident that conditions are difficult out there, but second after the first round, we'll go again with that one. Sorry. I'm have to waken up here. I know.
Pack it in.
A good opening run for you, Dan.
Yeah, it wasn't bad. We had a good start. The car's very different to what it was last year. Made some quite big changes, so all positive after the first one.
What changes have you made?
Not telling you. There are some positive ones. That's what we made.
Go with that again. Hold on. Well, the conditions are only worsening here around the military base. What do you call him again? Well, as you can see, the conditions are only worsening here around the military base. Rick Mann has that lead at the moment, but hot on his tail is last rounds. Well, the conditions are only worsening here around the military base, and the conditions are only worsening here around the military base. Rick Mann has that lead at the moment, but the previous round's winner, this. Dan, visibility, go again, all right? Dan, visibility is tough enough out there without losing the control of your wipers.
Yeah, it was a little bit hard. Johnny was in there trying to banging everything, trying to get him to work, but we had no luck. In the end, we ended up stopping.
He was banging everything.
Yeah, trying to kick it.
No, we never know. Dan, of course, visibility is tough out there. Tough enough without losing. Go with that again, sorry.
You met more cock-ups than I
have, yeah. Okay.
You know Paul would.
I haven't, am I? I definitely haven't. I love my job.